an off-duty police officer spotted a car that he recognized as being owned by a fugitive who had been involved in a burglary the month prior. Lieutenant Dwight Guthrie and Officer Carl Zotter were assigned to check on the house that the suspect's car was parked in front of, on a hunch that another burglary was in progress. They were correct, catching the burglar red-handed this time, but when they attempted to apprehend him, the suspect spun and managed to take Lieutenant Guthrie's .38 caliber revolver and threatened to blow his guts out. The burglary suspect got into his car and drove off, but police successfully spotted the car again the following day, parked outside of an apartment. Instead of waiting again for the suspect to come out, police decided to enter the apartment. As they raided the room, the suspect jumped from the second story of the building and fled down an alleyway, where he spotted a family getting into a car. He opened the back door and asked for a lift down the street. The wife grabbed the two children as the husband attempted to remove the burglar from his car. However, the suspect pulled out the stolen revolver and took the husband hostage. A chase ensued. The suspect alternated between holding the gun to the husband's head and pointing it out the window at the police. During the chase, the suspect fired 5 shots at police during the 90-mile-per-hour chase, but officers chose not to return fire, possibly due to the risk of the hostage being caught in the crossfire. The car then lost control and plowed into the side of a building. Police wasted no time removing the suspect from the stolen car and cuffing him. But once they got a moment to assess the situation, they realized that both hostage and suspect were of similar age and had mustaches. The person in their custody was hostage Martin Riegner, while the person who remained in the vehicle was the perpetrator, George Kaminski. Kaminski stayed inside the vehicle, accompanied only by the revolver. He had come to terms that it was over. With the weapon he had stolen from his enemies, Kaminski calmly rotated the barrel to his chest and fired.
If ever ride, ever ride, ever ride, ever ride, no.
The clover is a small plant commonly found in grassy areas. It's a member of the legume family. As such, clovers are important in agriculture, often used in pasture and forage for livestock. Aside from this, clovers are also valued for their aesthetic appeal and are sometimes planted in lawns and gardens, attracting bees and other pollinators, playing a significant role in the ecosystem. They're widely recognized for their distinctive leaves, which usually consist of 3 small, round leaflets, though the rare 4-leaf clover is famous for being considered a symbol of good luck. From ancient legends to modern-day genetics, their symbol of fortune have had such a cultural and historical significance that there are enthusiasts who have taken clover collecting to record-breaking heights. We're talking records exceeding 70,000, specifically 72,927. Another fascinating thing about this particular record isn't just the vast number collected, but also the type of places the 4-leaf clovers were gathered. Prison yards throughout Pennsylvania. And the record holder was set by an inmate who had been moved to different correctional facilities throughout the state, George Kaminski. He had survived the self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest and was serving his sentence for the aforementioned crimes. Despite having been moved to different prisons after being convicted, Kaminski was able to find 4-leaf clovers in the prison yards. He had been permitted to roam the yard and keep them under the condition that he used the same time to pick up cigarette butts disposed by his fellow inmates. Kaminski built such an impressive collection that, in 1995, Guinness recognized his achievement and awarded him the record holder for the most 4-leaf clovers. Despite his sentence being up to 133 years, Kaminski could be paroled after 30 years, and he was young enough at the time of his crimes that there was a good chance he'd see release. And as that countdown to freedom neared, paired with his good behavior, Kaminski was moved to State Correctional Institute in Mercer, commonly referred to as SCI Mercer, a minimum security prison. When Kaminski got there, however, he noticed one problem. SCI Mercer's prison yard didn't have any 4-leaf clovers. By 2005, Kaminski's record was in jeopardy. Guinness had been communicating with Edward Martin Sr., a retiree living in Soldotna, Alaska, who claimed his collection was approaching the 76,000 mark, which, if Guinness confirmed to be true, would set the new record. Before we get to the second half of the video, please be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and share. These quick clicks go a long way in supporting this channel. Thank you very much for making it this far, and I hope you enjoy the rest. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Edward Martin Sr.'s claims of having an impressive collection of 76,000 four-leaf clovers was overshadowed by the fact that he had the freedom of the outside world at his disposal. This reality created a stark contrast between Martin's boundless Alaskan landscapes and the limited scope of Kaminski's prison yard. Kaminski's record had been somewhat of an inspiration. It was a sign that someone who committed a crime could be remembered for more than their biggest mistake. In the visiting room of SCI Mercer, Kaminski shared his thoughts with the Associated Press about Martin being the new four-leaf clover champion. The guy's got the whole world. I have 2 or 3 acres to look for clovers. This line is paraphrased in a song called George Kaminski by indie rock band Grand Archives.
You have all love, this whole world. I've got these 4 leaves and grass.
If Kaminski couldn't hold the record forever, then at least it could be an underdog story immortalized in a song. Lead singer, guitarist, and primary songwriter of Grand Archives, Matt Brooke, told The Stranger, "When I read about him, I thought it was inspiring. This guy's incarcerated for 25 years, but turns it around and gets the world record for four-leaf clovers." But before Kaminski accepted defeat, he had one ace in the hole. Apparently, he had sent his sister an estimated 15,000 clovers, and she had saved them in a series of photo albums, which actually isn't an uncommon practice for clover collectors. If Guinness accepted the clovers in Kaminski's sister's possession as part of the others he had collected over the years, that'd bring his count to approximately 88,000. Eventually, Martin would take the record from Kaminski, and within 3 years, the Chicago Tribune reported that Martin's collection had doubled in size. However, the outcome of Kaminski and Martin's battle is trivial for 3 reasons. 1, the cards were always stacked against Kaminski. 2, the record has since exceeded 100,000 by multiple others, including Gabriella Gerhardt having 138,383 clovers in her collection, including other mutations of up to 10 leaves. And 3, the mission had already been accomplished by Guinness recognizing Kaminski's efforts back in 1995. And a new competition with the unfair advantage of not being confined to the walls of a prison yard added a new layer to this story. What was once an impressive record achieved within limited bounds had since evolved into a tale of a flawed underdog not giving up without a fight. Sure, to some, Kaminski's tale is that of a bored inmate who happened upon a unique hobby. To others, it's an unlikely tale of perseverance that's worth writing an article about, recording a song about, or making a YouTube video about. It's a reflection on the human spirit's resilience. Kaminski, despite his confinement, found solace and a sense of achievement in a unique hobby. In the same interview with The Stranger, Matt Brooke continued, Kaminski had already been in prison for something like 5 or 6 years, and there was a kid who came in, like an 18-year-old, real bummed about being in prison, and Kaminski was like, "You've got to look for the good things." And he stumbled across a four-leaf clover and showed it to the kid and said, "Look, a four-leaf clover in a prison yard." And the kid's kinda like, "Yeah, okay, you're right." And the next thing you know, Kaminski's in the Guinness Book of World Records. That's the hope. That's the happiness in this. There's a bright side. Edward Martin Sr. was always a good sport about taking the record from Kaminski. In fact, he was so aware of how impressive Kaminski's accomplishment was that he was deeply saddened to learn of Kaminski's passing in February 2008 while still in prison. Kaminski's death came the exact same month Grand Archives released their debut album with the song George Kaminski on it. Kaminski never knew of the song. In 2013, Martin passed away. And even though different types of clover collecting records have come along, Martin still holds the title for most four-leaf clovers collected, at approximately 160,000. But the amount of four-leaf clovers Kaminski, Martin, Gerhardt, and any potential succeeding record holders collected is just a number. What will live on forever is the unlikely inspirational tale of Martin's humbleness for admiring Kaminski and treating him like a worthy opponent, and Kaminski's unwavering determination. In Martin's own words, collecting is a challenge, and life is a challenge. Every day is a new door opening. In Kaminski's own words, you can accomplish anything if you put your mind to it.
I'll leave all these clovers buried in the ground for you to find next time.